Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Wright. On Christmas Eve, hope you guys are enjoying your beautiful Christmas Eve and holiday week, holiday festivities. Hope you guys are out just enjoying yourselves. Nonetheless, I love you guys for plugging in. If you guys are catching this episode, it's likely Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Hope you guys are enjoying this. This episode will be episode 155, the Week 15 NFL recap. I will also be having Week 16 recap plus Eagles versus Commanders recap for you guys to check out too. A lot of things really to get into, dive into. A lot of eventful things that happened over the weekend going into the Christmas holiday that I wanted to touch on. So I love you guys for plugging in. It's coming up on about a year and a half, almost 2 years now that I've been doing the show. You guys have been plugging in with me. I love you guys. Thank you so much as always. And to get started, before we get started, actually, definitely want to make sure we give a shout out to several friends of the show. StubHub and Viagogo, the number 1 and number 2 leading ticket sellers in the world to live events, shows, and concerts. Currently, right now, as you see on the screen, have a plethora of events right now that I would implore you to definitely check out. Definitely while you got the time off to enjoy the holidays, especially for you guys on the East Coast along with me before that snow hits. Definitely want to make sure you enjoy it. Definitely check out the events that they have listed on the screen. Also, if you're worried about protecting your software, protecting your computer, whether at work or at home, something that I definitely implore you to do that I use myself, check out Malware Bytes. As you see here on the screen, Malware Bytes, the link will also be in the description box of this video. They have a lot of great offers for you and very affordable software programs to help you protect your computer from anything that could potentially harm your computer. So definitely don't forget to check that out. And last but not least, from my avid gamers out there, you now know it's Christmas. The time is upon us. Don't forget to miss out on the Christmas sale right now that Sony PlayStation has. I implore you to check that out. Sony PlayStation, more than a game. All right, guys. So getting into this Week 15 recap, we're going to start with the games that I watched that I thought they had the most impact. So we're going to start with the Packers and Broncos. Now, this game was a great game, devastating towards the end, but had a lot of ramifications, a lot of things that I definitely want to touch on. First of all, shout out to the Broncos for winning the game 34-26, beating the Packers and pretty much, ending any chances that the Packers had late, potentially coming back and winning the game. The Packers definitely put up a hell of a fight. However, losing Zach Tom to injury and most importantly, losing Micah Parsons to injury, I think that was the most devastating effects on the game. It was really a back and forth affair for the most part. The Packers were coming out aggressive and attacking. They definitely had the momentum. They definitely had the Denver defense on the ropes. However, you got to give Denver credit. In a lot of their drives in the second half, they made sure that they scored touchdowns instead of settling for field goals, which they were doing early. After they scored that initial touchdown, I mean, literally, if we're looking here at the drives, I'm looking at the statistics sheet here from NFL.com. Just give me 1 second, the final statistics. Yeah, I mean, literally, you're talking about, let's see here on the final screen, ball possession and drive chart. Yeah, you're talking about literally, if you're the Broncos, they literally, I mean, they hadn't ended any of their drives in a touchdown. Their first 3 drives, the third drive ended in a touchdown. By the time they scored again, it was the second half. So it just showed you how the Packers defense was stymieing them. Micah Parsons was definitely effective. So his loss in the second half definitely hurt the game. But tremendous credit to the Broncos. They stepped up when they needed to. They won another tight game the way they were supposed to, the way they have all season. It's why they were at that point the number 1 seed. They've lost the number 1 seed now to the New England Patriots, but at that point, that's why they had maintained it. Still a top 2 seed in the AFC, excuse me. So they're definitely going to be there. I think they have some limitations that I'm definitely concerned about. I think bonix still has a lot of growth to definitely obtain, some learning curve that he still has to go through before he gets into the postseason. I think that's definitely something that's definitely going to afflict them. Now, he did make the postseason last year. They got blown out by the Buffalo Bills. We'll see how everything plays out this year. However, I do think there are some teams in their way that could potentially stop them. However, defensively, that is their bread and butter and their saving grace. Their defense is what is literally going to keep them in every postseason game that they're going to have, whether one or multiple this year. But nonetheless, key takeaways from the game. Denver locked up a playoff spot with this victory, so you got to give the Broncos credit there. They truly are. They really, the only obstacle I think they really have in the AFC might be the Bills, possibly the Texans, depending on how things shake out. Might be their only obstacles. And then number 2, of course, the Micah Parsons injury was devastating to the Green Bay Packers. This team played very well up to this point, and defensively, to lose him, it really takes you a step back, kind of kills your Super Bowl hopes, kind of might not have to start thinking about next year. Might really be the year for you to really start going for it. But, because again, he literally, he blunted. He was the main reason that the Broncos couldn't get anything going for much of the first half. And then once he went out in that second half, it's a totally different ball game. So got to give the Broncos credit, but the Packers are definitely a little rest for the weary with all the injuries they've suffered. Zach Tom also going down in the game. Like I said, losing Tucker Kraft early in the year. They've suffered a lot. And it's going to take a lot for this Packers team to not, obviously they're going to make the playoffs, but I think really next year is really going to be the best bet for them to really rebound and retool and regroup to make a push for the Super Bowl. Next game we're going to talk about is the Vikings and Cowboys. This game is definitely near and dear to my heart. Now, the Vikings have won this game 34-26. Now, what was amazing about this game already was going into this game, the Dallas Cowboys had to win this game to keep any of their playoff hopes alive. There were a lot of Cowboys fans, as you know. I'm a diehard Eagles fan, fly Eagles fly. A lot of diehard Cowboys fans that I know that were very adamant and very delusional, for lack of better words, that they were going to win this game and still be in a playoff hunt. That is obviously not the case. The Minnesota Vikings have eliminated them. Well, that loss helped eliminate them, but then, the Philadelphia victory Saturday against the Commanders put the nail in the coffin, pretty much sunk that ship. But shout out to the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings played an amazing game. They did exactly. McCarthy played an amazing game. It didn't look great to start. I mean, if you remember the first half, very peculiarly, it was almost like you could see that the Vikings were kind of losing it a bit. They had the early interception at punt. They didn't really score a touchdown to their third possession. Then all of a sudden from there, it was like the game changed and they just started finding the end zone or getting in scoring position. Dallas's defense is fucking garbage. I think that is not even an understatement at this point. There's no new news there. They can't get off the field. Looking at the third down percentage here, I mean, it was quite startling. Both teams sucked ass on third down, but to tell you how horrible it was, Minnesota was 2 of 9 on third down, which is 22%, but Dallas was 2 of 12. 16%. Yeah, you're not stopping anybody, and then you're not really getting off the field on third down, so that's compounding the issue. You got a young quarterback, and then what really was the real indicator, fourth down. The Vikings hit all their fourth down attempts. They were 3 of 3. Dallas, 3 of 4. That's your ball game. And then you got turnovers in there. I mean, you're going into it, you're looking at here, final statistics. Let's look at Dak Prescott. No interceptions, again, 294 yards, good passing game. You had an interception from McCarthy, but making the right necessary plays when needed. Got to give Minnesota credit. Their season was already over when the game started, so it just seemed like it was kind of a moot point. Everybody had Dallas winning this game. Dallas shit the bed, pissed down their leg again. So amazing performance by the Vikings. Key takeaways, ultimately, Minnesota came to play. McCarthy looked good. Still has more to prove, but I like definitely what I saw. Dallas is definitely in the grave now after the Philadelphia loss. So all that hype and all that fervor and speculation, and you were sold a bill of goods again, Dallas Cowboys fans. Jerry Jones is to blame. Just remember that as the offseason goes on. Jerry is to blame. And again, Dallas's defense is shit. Their offense can't continue to try to bail them out of every situation. It's becoming so dramatically, inept, where you're seeing where the offense is doing their job and then they make one mistake or one drive or one thing doesn't go right. And then all of a sudden the defense just can't stop anybody. And then boom, they're down and they're losing by double digits. So be that as it may. Also, too, what I thought was very revealing in this game was the disappearance of George Pickens. George Pickens completely fucking disappeared. Dak, shot him some bell, basically. You'll see here on the screen in the comments. Dak shot him some bell, basically saying that it was the coverages. I tend to agree with that because, George Pickens has definitely been one of the best receivers in football this year. He's definitely commanded the money he's going to get. At some point, I think the Cowboys are going to franchise tag him. They shouldn't. I think the right thing to do is pay him, but ultimately, I think they're going to franchise tag him. But George Pickens has changed life for the Dallas Cowboys. How he's helped change life for CeeDee Lamb for damn sure, and Jake Ferguson. But all that being said, the defense is so bad. No matter what they do on offense, no matter even with the numbers that they're posting, and Dallas is having a historic season offensively, but missing the playoffs, defense can't stop anybody. Offense fucking up the key points. they're in a situation where they're in, where they're just, up shit's creek with no paddle. Sad season, but nonetheless, we knew this was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen the moment Micah was traded. How's that run defense look now without Micah Parsons? And by the way, do you know Micah Parsons still has more sacks than the Cowboys, than the top Cowboys defensive player? And he's out for the season now? Yeah, it's bad. Next, we're going to go to Dolphins and Steelers. This game was kind of boring, but kind of funny and very interesting after it ended. Now, the Steelers obviously won the game 28-15. This game was ceremonious, unceremonious for tuatagovailoa, but ceremonious for the Steelers. Offense looked very good. They were very much able to execute a lot of drives that they wanted to execute. They had some moments of stagnation, but they started to figure it out. Credit to the Dolphins defense early on for making it a fight, not making it very easy for the Steelers to just walk away with the victory. However, the real glaring thing for this is when you are limited on offense by your quarterback, there is no way in hell you could beat anybody. Tua is out there making business decisions. I mean, I don't know if you guys know or not, but he has a concussion history. Well known, worst kept secret in the world. He has a concussion history. That being said, this guy is not really, when you look at the passes this guy makes and how this offense is set up, you got Mike McDaniel all week drawing up offensive, charts and sheets and play sets and plays to get Waddle the ball, to get, Darren Waller the ball, get A-Chain the ball, and you're settling for 5-yard passes. The offense there's no threat of him actually even pushing the ball downfield. And damn it, even when Tyreek Hill was in, it was the same case. So his benching, his horrible play, he played so bad, they had to bench him. In this game, just think about this. 22 of 28, right? You think, oh my God, that was great. But if you really watch the game, a lot of bad completions. A lot of check downs and nothing really pushing the ball downfield. Sacked 4 times. He had an interception. I believe he also had a fumble too. I want to check here. No, he didn't have a fumble. He almost had a fumble. I believe it didn't. They said he was down by contact, but he just looked terrible. He's definitely been an albatross on the Dolphins offense. They didn't look great against the Bengals either, so let's not just say it's all Tua, but it can't help you when your offense is just that limited, when they can't push. There's no threat of them even pushing the ball down the field. So credit to Mike McDaniel for finally, sticking to his guns and realizing this guy's got to sit the fuck down. He's not really helping me. What this means for the future of the Dolphins, who knows? As I've stated before, I think that Mike McDaniel has fought to keep his job. If he keeps his job, is definitely still a question. Tua is going to be on the bench regardless. He's going to be making a shitload of money. I think the option, the proper read might be to try to trade him, but I don't know any team that's that dumb or desperate to take Tua on plus that contract. Tua is now a backup quarterback. I don't think anybody is really, revealing any new news there, but he's relegated himself to backup duty. He is not a starting quarterback. So it is very indicative and very telling that, Mike McDaniel said he needs a quarterback, that could come in there and play with conviction, which just tells me even more that this guy really hasn't. So the future is kind of dreary right now, kind of bleak for the Dolphins. Didn't make a lot of great moves with the previous GM, Chris Greer. A lot of questions still to answer there, but key takeaways nonetheless from this game. Pittsburgh put their chances at winning the North even much higher, and then obviously with the Ravens choking against the Patriots, things have increased. Tua is ass, and his team is so limited offensively, it just hurts their defense, obviously, which led to his benching. And Pittsburgh needs to do better establishing a run, because Pittsburgh, for some reason, it was kind of disturbing when you realize it, because if you look at the final stats, Kenny Gainwell ended the game with 80 yards rushing, which shout out to KJ. Kenny Gainwell is that fucking dude. Always will love him when he was with the Eagles. But it just seems like they don't run the ball effectively enough, or they don't use their running backs effectively enough. You have something. You have 2 decent running backs with Gainwell and Warren, and you just seem to not use them as frequently enough. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what the thought process is there, but be that as it may, it is what it is. But it's very indicative of something. And it just shows you really that cat's out the bag now, and Tua has pretty much really been the weak link for the Dolphins, and he has to go. So got to give the Dolphins a lot of credit there. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think once they can establish some semblance of a running game, it'll make their offense a little bit more lethal, but time will tell. Time will tell. A bonus one I'm going to give you guys from pretty much from the end of week 15, which was the Falcons and Bucks. This one was very, very crazy. First of all, upset by the Falcons winning the game. I really just had quick takeaways for this one. Just give me 1 second because my goofy ass put the notes away to the side like a doofus. I will find that for you very quickly. But 29-28, Falcons get the victory. It was just kind of weird that you looked at this Falcons team and you said, okay, they're out of it. They're not going to come in there and really play and really give all their effort. They're going to pretty much try to lose this game or not really play as hard because what's really in it for them? Well, to sink the ship of a rival, I think can never be underestimated. And I got to give the Falcons a shitload of credit. I mean, Kyle Pitts had the game of his life. No one expected that. Looking here at the stats, Kyle Pitts, I want to say he ended with, he had 166 receiving yards, 11 receptions, 3 touchdowns. Needless to say, Kyle Pitts was a fucking beast. It's kind of telling right now, too, for the Bucs because the Bucs have kind of really, really hit a fucking wall. I mean, you had Ibuka and Bucky Irvin and the young guys kind of going earlier. It seems like since the old guys have come back, speaking of Godwin, Mike Evans, the offense really hasn't really hit its stride, or maybe it seems they're a bit more stagnant than what they once were. Not sure how that is or why that is, but might be indicative that they need to go to a youth movement. Also, I think that what it also spells too is that Baker has hit a wall. The loss of Liam Cohen, the loss of Dave Canales the year prior, I think it's also affecting them. And last but not least, this might be a sign that the Bucs need to get younger. Now, all hope is not lost. You do play the Carolina Panthers at the end of the season. We'll see how all that plays out. But very telling that they've really gotten to this point, and it may be a sign that they need to hit the reset button going into next year. That's going to do it for this episode, guys. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys are enjoying the holiday. Again, Merry Christmas. Take care and enjoy the rest of your holiday.